This is Challenger Approaching, where we take a character who isn't playable in Smash Bros. Yet and craft a detailed design for what they could be like if they did get in. We've covered characters before who fell just short of the roster and settled for a non-playable role, including spirits, stage elements, and yes, assist trophies. Our challenger this time is one such example. But what if he did make it next game, overcoming both his assist trophy status and competition from within his home company? And how could Smash build a fighter design and moveset that best captures the core of who he is and how he plays, while tapping into the many techniques he's learned across his games? Let's find out. Ready? Zero! Zero is the second protagonist of the Mega Man X series, a high-ranking maverick hunter devoted to fighting those who would harm the innocent. Though this was not his intended purpose, Zero was actually the final and greatest creation of none other than Dr. Wily. But when he proved too violent and uncontrollable for the Mad Doctor to use, he was infected with a computer virus meant to cap his power and redirect his mind, and sealed away in a capsule indefinitely. Fast forward a century later, when a squad of advanced human-like Reploids found and reactivated him. The newly reawakened Zero slaughtered the scouts effortlessly, getting him branded a maverick instantly for the threat he posed to humans and Reploids alike. An elite squad of maverick hunters were sent to detain him, led by the hunters' best and brightest, a unit named Sigma. Zero gained the upper hand on them too, until a remnant of Wily's programming locked him down long enough for Sigma to land a fateful blow that knocked Zero out cold and transferred the virus within his code to a new host. Coming to at the hunter's home base sometime later, Zero had lost his memories, but was free from control of Wily's programming and the virus's influence. No longer a threat, but still a strong fighter, he was put to use as a maverick hunter, and a crucial ally, as Sigma, whose own mind had been altered by the ever-evolving virus that now infected him, soon declared war on humanity and infected many other Reploids, hunters included, to join him. Zero took up arms to face this new threat, while also mentoring a certain rookie hunter with a long story of his own. The fates of X and Zero would be closely connected from then on. So yeah, maybe you get why this guy is such a fan favorite. Zero embodies the Mega Man X series shift to a darker tone with faster-paced gameplay and a greater emphasis on narrative compared to classic Mega Man. He grows and changes as a person as the series goes on, his cool-headed, no-nonsense demeanor becoming colder and more distant as his mind suffers from the horrors of a war that never fully ends, while still somehow maintaining his selfless nature, non-canon bad endings aside. And when fans finally got to play as him, it just made him even cooler. So when he got a surprise assist trophy reveal despite his series being long dormant aside from a mobile spin-off, it raised hopes that he could be a full-fledged fighter next time. But for that to happen, Zero has a couple big hurdles to overcome. Background characters have had mixed success making the jump to playable in Smash. Only a few have pulled it off. And Capcom alone has a lot of viable Smash candidates right now, and Zero would have to find a way to win out over all of them. But he can jump and air dash over these hurdles if things line up right. Especially if, say, Mega Man X9 finally happened in the near future, launching him back into relevance at the perfect time. He's come back from the dead before, so why not again? And if he did get that chance, how would Zero fight in Smash? Nailing down an exact design for Zero is harder than it sounds. His armor's been redesigned or reimagined several times. Smash could just pick one of them and stick with it, probably his Mega Man X4 design since that was the first time he was fully playable. Or they could combine elements of different armors to create a composite that embodies the best parts of them. Or just go with a more detailed version of his assist trophy design. Hey, if it works. There's also his alternate body from the Mega Man Zero series, and I've seen some fans want it as a full model swap, but I'm not confident it could work. It's smaller than the original and has different proportions that wouldn't fit the hurt boxes, and there are lore reasons why it's different from the original. Maybe I'm overthinking it, who knows. Smash would also have to figure out which hand would wield his signature Z-Saber. He keeps swapping between them in his official art to where I guess he's just canonically ambidextrous. This video has Zero use his left hand by default since lefty sword fighters aren't as common, but maybe Smash can mirror his animations like with most brawler characters. First sword fighter who could pull that off. How about alternate costumes? There's the default, then the most obvious pick ever based on the recurring Black Zero armor. No cheat code or Easter egg necessary. Next is a green alt loosely based on Sigma, not a complete copy though. Fourth is a golden palette I made up because it rounded out the colors nicely. Any resemblance to Gates' combat mode is coincidental. The next four are more complex, starting with a solid blue alt that also changes the color of his forehead gem and ear bracers. Could not have one based on X. And the sixth inverts Zero's main colors, inspired by the color schemes of several armor upgrades X obtains across the series. Then a pale violet alt inspired by the Zero Nightmare doppelganger from X6. Finally, we can throw a bone to Mega Man Zero fans with an alt based on that armor's color scheme. Might not be able to use the model, but we can still do this. We want each Smash newcomer to play in a way that feels true to character. For Zero, that's really easy to pin down. An aggressive melee attacker in every game since X4, fighting game appearances included, Zero wants to get within saber range and use his combination of speed and disjointed strikes to outspace his foes and slice them into scrap metal. His entire toolset, even occasional projectiles, is geared toward accomplishing this. And the forms they take in Smash would make Zero very strong against enemy zoners. He can bypass attempts to wall him out faster than you can say Kyaku. A good pick if you don't like fighting those kinds of characters. On to exact stats, and yeah, how about that mobility? Zero's rocking top 20 airspeed, the 11th fastest initial dash, and the 10th fastest run. He hovers like his dash animation in his games, which is why his dash and run speed are identical. He'll have no trouble getting around, even if his fall speed and walk are merely above average. He even has unique upsides. Zero's air acceleration is almost as spotless as Mega Man's, closely imitating the precise air control his series is known for and making precise spacing a breeze. And he can wall jump, cling to walls, and slowly slide down them while doing so. Can't hold it for more than a couple seconds for balance reasons, but it's there. He even has something extra. See, I name dropped it for a reason. A technique Zero gained in X4 that he's had ever since, double tapping forward or back while in midair lets him perform a quick air dash in that direction. It's an extra movement option that helps him close the distance, go right over certain attacks or projectiles, mix up his landings, or augment his recovery, and he can freely act afterward. With one exception. Like in his games, Kyaku pulls from the same resource as Zero's double jump. You can only do one or the other, not both, which makes it riskier than it seems. And if you don't want to risk not knowing when new videos are out, don't forget to subscribe and turn notifications on. Moving on, while Zero's offense stats might look hit or miss, they can add up quickly. Literally, just like in other fighting games, Zero has a stellar set of combos with multiple ways to rack up percent and push what would normally be middling damage per hit into something much higher. And unlike most big damage dealers in Smash, he doesn't struggle much to close out stocks. But he has some drawbacks. Surprisingly tame frame data means he can't overwhelm opponents with attacks. He has to use his range to apply pressure instead. He may be fast, but his recovery is pretty shaky, and his double jump doesn't go very high, another quirk from some of his games. But Zero's biggest weakness is, well, you see that weight stat. His Achilles heel from X4 onward has always been low max HP, and that translates here to barely being heavier than the featherweights, which would force Zero's players to be as precise as he himself is if they don't want to lose stocks fast. Let's see how the moveset itself comes together. Starting with the basics, and there is no better way we could begin. Zero's jab is his classic 3-hit saber combo. A cornerstone of his kit, it does legit damage for a jab, and eventually KOs people near the ledge. Its only downside is subpar startup for a sword jab, so focus more on spacing it. Zero's forward tilt is less self-contained, a rising saber slash based on the final hit of his default combo in Mega Man X6 specifically. It's a couple frames slower than his jab, but has greater reach, and knocks people upward in a prime combo position through mid-percents. This will be a running trend. Up tilt as Zero grip his saber with both hands and perform a wide swing from back to front, inspired by the last hit of his saber combo in Mega Man Zero. Wanted to pull a little more from there. His slowest tilt startup-wise, but it covers a whole semicircle around him and catches a lot of stuff any opponents do nearby. Combos are low percents, but it's more useful as a backup finisher at high percents. Zero's down tilt comes from Mega Man X5, the first game that actually let him crouch. This inward slash is his fastest tilt, and it also pops people up for easy combos, but having the shortest reach of his tilts makes it harder to space with. Then his dash attack is the first of many techniques Zero has borrowed from defeated Mavericks. This far-reaching slash comes out very fast for a sword dash attack, with diagonal knockback that sets up juggles. However, its lengthy end lag, more than its original version, leaves you a sitting duck if it doesn't hit. Consider that a teaser, because here comes Zero's smash attacks. His forward smash is an obvious pick, a multi-hit forward thrust infused with lightning. Strong, long-lasting, and farther reaching than his other saber strikes, it's great for catching landings or bad rolls. Main downside is its notably long startup. If you want speed, use his up smash instead. This quick rising slash originated from Mega Man Extreme on the Game Boy Color. While its hitbox is smaller, its single-digit frame startup makes it a wickedly fast and strong anti-air for calling out enemies jumping nearby. Then Zero's down smash takes some creative liberties. It's a weaker version of his Giga attack from X4 that doesn't require weapon energy. The fan-like wave of feather-shaped projectiles slows to a stop quickly instead of going the entire length of the screen, but it's still a strong area attack that surrounds Zero completely, which is useful sometimes. Zero's a beast in the air, and his aerials really lock that in. Introducing the neutral air you knew he would have. A rolling front flip slash that goes almost a full circle, Kuenzan is a multi-hit combo machine. It is toned down from the original though, doesn't stick his saber out as far during it, and has more startup, end lag, and landing lag, and would still be really good despite that. Zero's forward air is a two-handed downward slash based on his mid-air attack from X6. Might remind you of Cloud's forward air, but this one's a broader slash that emphasizes clean cuts over power. In other words, it doesn't spike, but it's faster, more active, and deals horizontal knockback with a slight rise that helps with some combos and edge guards. Then his back air is based on the move it replaced. Zero turns around and performs a version of his default mid-air saber slash from X4 and X5. A fast, disjointed strike that reaches lower than it looks and has high enough knockback to be one of his best finishers. Zero's up air is a mid-air variant of the rising technique. This one has a wider, less focused arc that deals less knockback, which makes it a combo move instead. Never does enough knockback to KO though, and its short arc makes it harder to hit than most sword up airs. Then Zero's down air really shakes things up. A seismic diving slash with a powerful follow-through when it hits the ground. Intrusive screen-shaking earthquake not included. This dive kick clears a path, deals a strong landing hit, and even spikes early on. The downside? It only hits in front of Zero, and it has a ton of end lag whether you land with it or not. Swordplay might be his thing, but Zero has a grab game too. His grab animations have him reach forward with his free hand while grabbing the hilt of his saber with his sword hand so it's ready. This has the side effect of giving his grabs mediocre speed. His pummel has him grip his saber backwards and quickly swing it down to strike with the handle for an extra bit of damage. Zero's throws break out the techniques again. His forward throw is a lunging, plant-powered stab, it makes sense in context, that drags opponents with him. The movement and forward knockback helps force people off stage. For his back throw, he grabs his saber with both hands, stabs beneath his opponent's feet, then does a wide gravity-powered swing that flings them away. This one's a decent kill throw. His up throw is a quick uppercut that leaves a trail of fire in its wake, which lingers a bit and can hurt other fighters who get too close. And his down throw has him bring his saber up above him, pointed down, cover the blade in a chunk of ice, and stab his opponent. While his throws deal good damage, Zero can't combo off any of them, a stark contrast from his other moves. Let's wrap this section up with some taunts. Zero's not one to showboat, but he has some stuff. His side taunt has him swing his saber around, hold it sideways in the classic samurai pose, and say, "Here I come." His up taunt is the classic thumbs up from when he finishes a stage, his personal way of saying the coast is clear. And his down taunt does the same teleport but not really that Mega Man does. You didn't think he'd retreat that easily, did you? Alright, let's get serious. Zero's neutral special should be another core part of his kit, right? So how about... Yeah, that was pretty obvious. Zero's had his own buster gun to use alongside his saber, with varying effectiveness. This version is based closest on his assist roll in Mega Man X3, and it's a chargeable projectile with 3 stages. Tap B, or barely hold it, to fire a weak energy bullet that looks like a cross between the classic Lemons and the shot from X5, except not terrible. Has a bit more startup than similar moves, but a little less end lag, and since it travels at moderate speed and does just enough knockback to disrupt people on hit, you can shoot near ground level and use it to cover your approach. But charge it and the shot gets stronger. The awkward middle stage gains a green tint and becomes longer, travels faster, and does more damage and knockback. And when fully charged, the shot gets even bigger, changes color again to bright blue with yellow rings, and hits even harder. Not as strong as a full power charge beam or shadow ball, but Zero has an ace up his sleeve. He can walk and jump once while charging. Zero Buster is a chargeable projectile with different rolls depending on how long it's held. The base version is a classic fireball type that helps you get in. Medium charge gives it more punch, while a full charge is that but even more. Higher charges also work great in team modes. Zero's used to fighting in tandem with another hunter. While it charges faster than other projectiles of its type, you can't store the charge for later by shielding, true to the source material, and you can only hold a full charge for a couple seconds before it fires on its own, for balance reasons. One special accounted for, so what's next? Ooh, that's a fun one. Also known as Twin Dream, Sogenmu is a technique from X5 inspired by a weapon X himself got in X4. It makes sense in context. More importantly, it lets Zero do something interesting. On use, he casts a hologram forward that materializes a little over a dash length ahead and forms a trippy-looking silhouette. For roughly the next 2.5 seconds, any A-button attacks Zero performs are copied by it. Includes his jab combo, tilts, aerials, even smash attacks. And since the hologram is fully intangible, its attacks can't be directly stopped. Emphasis on directly, because Zero himself can still get hit. The hologram being intangible means enemy attacks pass right through it, including projectiles, and for our Smash version, he's locked in place and cannot jump, shield, or dodge since he has to focus on keeping the hologram up. Sogenmu is an instant disjoint that lets Zero beat out even more attacks than usual, but its limitations make it most useful when you already have the advantage and opponents can't do much to stop you. You can dismiss the hologram early, taking a full second of extra lag. If used in the air, you can drift a little but can't jump, and the hologram's attacks are weaker than the real deal, especially smash attacks. Next is Zero's Up Special. Recovery moves are tough to settle on, is what I would say, but there's one we gotta use here. Learned in X4 from a former hunter turned maverick, Ryuenjin is too iconic not to include. On use, Zero brings his saber out, infuses it with fire, and performs a leaping uppercut wreathed in flames. The attack deals multiple hits on the way up, dragging opponents with him, then adds a new fiery blast at the end to finish it. Which might sound a lot like Roy's Up Special, but this move has ways it stands out compared to Blazer. It's a bit slower to come out and can't be angled, limiting its defensive use and flexibility. But it's better on offense, as not only does it deal more damage, the new explosion at the end is strong enough to make it a legit kill move, especially if started on the ground. Ryuenjin is a Shoryuken-style up special built mainly for offense and callouts, though it's still a serviceable recovery move. It can also finish some combos, but double-digit startup and the fact that you go into freefall afterward makes it impractical to use higher up, and the finishing hit isn't as strong if you start it in the air. The lack of angles, combined with Zero's weaker double jump, makes his recovery more linear and vulnerable than it initially seems, so be careful off stage. Zero's got a lot of options for his down special, but we want something that ties this moveset together. To that end... Okay, don't jump to conclusions yet. A technique from X8 with a reputation that precedes it, Raikosen is more known for what it lets Zero do in a different series. It won't be as busted here, but it's still a key part of his arsenal. Press down and B, and Zero pulls his saber back, infuses it with electricity, then suddenly teleports a distance ahead, reappearing with a piercing thrust accompanied by a streak of lightning that strikes the path he took. Connecting with the saber itself deals moderate damage, but if the lightning hits, it stuns opponents for just a moment before dealing diagonally forward knockback that puts them right above you, making this a combo move too. If used on the ground, Zero dashes straight forward a la Falcon Kick, but if used in the air, he goes diagonally downward by default, just like in Marvel vs. Capcom. Though if you use it in the air and swing the control stick from down to forward at the start, he dashes straight ahead there too. Raikkosen is a burst option that sets up combos while also letting Zero mix up his movement when landing or recovering. Make sure you hit with it though, because it has significant end lag. That brief stun when the lightning connects is actually there to delay the knockback long enough so you can follow it up at all. And since the Sogenmu hologram can't copy specials and doesn't act like an afterimage here, you can't do lightning loops here. It's for the best. But now let's end this with a proper final smash. For Zero's strongest attack, I thought it best to get his closest allies involved too. Powered up further by the Smash Ball, Zero opens with a powerful downward saber strike that impacts the ground and stuns any opponent in range. His targets left vulnerable, Zero calls for backup in the form of X and Axel, and the three hunters bombard their helpless foes with a flurry of attacks that emphasize their unique strengths. X strafes around while charging and firing full-powered buster shots, Axel hovers a distance away and pelts them with rapid fire, and Zero himself carves into them with a masterful chain of saber slashes. Then the others back away, Zero channels an incredible amount of energy, and he unleashes his ultimate technique, the unstoppable Genmu Zero. The twin shockwaves assail anyone in range with so much force that they're sent far into the distance. Grateful for the assist, Zero salutes X and Axel, and the pair retreat and lets Zero finish the match himself. He's got this. This is how Zero could fight in Smash, a living superweapon who, through a twist of fate, got the chance to choose his own destiny. Now fighting to protect a world on the brink of falling to chaos, he brings his incredible skill to bear against those who walk a path he was intended to. It's never easy, but he'll do whatever it takes to create a world where humans and Reploids alike can live in peace. Zero's impressive mobility makes approaching opponents and breaching enemy zoning a breeze. A strong, multifaceted set of combos let him rack up damage easily from a wide variety of starting points. And a unique set of tools, including his specials and his signature air dash, give him options that characters within his archetype and playstyle don't usually have. However, shockingly low weight and a lack of quick pressure breakers means he can hardly afford to mess up ever. A short double jump and deceptively linear recovery make him extra vulnerable to losing stocks early off stage. And a lackluster grab game, one he can't start combos with, limits his mix-up potential and makes his pressure more one-dimensional. This is a character who has so much moveset potential that I had to figure out what to use and what to leave behind. Some big creative choices came down to how I wanted him to play. Made him unable to move freely during Sogenmu because if he could, it'd be too strong of a zoning tool, something I didn't want him to have. He can't attack while charging his buster like in Marvel vs. Capcom because I didn't want his projectile to be more flexible than what zoners get. That and being able to edgeguard with a run-off fair and a charged buster and kill it like 40 with little initial commitment would have been broken. I also passed up some down special options because they didn't gel well. Guard Shell from X6 is a popular choice, but I thought it too defensive for what I had in mind. Wanted to use mobility to get around projectiles, so a move that made him passively immune to them was a no-go. Hope I captured why this guy's got such a fanbase, and why we're one Mega Man X9 announcement away from him becoming very popular in Smash speculation. You know me, I'm fine with more anime sword fighters getting in if they bring new ideas with them. But it's up in the air whether this one will get in, so for now, the fight continues. And hey, if this video impressed you, there are a ton of other characters I've made Smash concepts for. I've even been doing remakes for Smash veterans that haven't aged well. Special thanks to these people for helping make this video happen. Thanks also to my patrons for the continued support. And now, this fight's in their hands. Anyone currently supporting me on Patreon can vote on which of these three characters gets to go next. Hey, a Zelda newcomer. So, until next time, if I ever have to play through X6 again, it'll be too soon.